Doug showed up.
Barely.
Barely. No, he's a very, very busy guy, and he bailed us out tonight because Kevin got that last-minute deadline thing, and that he's working as we speak right now. But Doug Blush just got back from Sundance, what, yesterday? Or
About 30 hours ago. Yeah.
About 30 hours ago, and he's been completely nuts since day one because he had, what, 2-3 films there?
Only 2 this year. I'm slacking.
Okay, last year at this time, Doug was at this table, and he had like 3 films.
Yeah, that was a tie for all time.
And
3 last
Doug
year.
has gone to Sundance like 1,000 times, and every year he has 2 to 3 films he is part of. Doug Blush, believe it or not, is probably been involved in more documentaries than just about anybody on this planet. And I'm not exaggerating. He is either a consulting editor or the editor or the supervising editor or the producer. He's got his hands in the pie somewhere. If you are doing a documentary right now and Doug Blush isn't a part of it, there's something wrong. Anyway, he had a couple of documentaries which got extraordinary, wonderful reviews, and also a lot of people are talking about it on Twitter and on Facebook. The James Foley Story, just being one of them, got a big standing ovation at Sundance, and Doug, of course, was part of that. And then he'll talk about something else. But he just got back, and if you want to know about documentary workflow, there is nobody again on this planet probably knows more about it because he's been involved in just about every documentary that you can think of. So please welcome from Sundance and Los Angeles, Doug Blush. Yeah. I'll come back when it gets boring.
Okay, yeah, that should be in seconds. So in terms of workflow, ask my assistants at this point because I've given up understanding anything anymore. I show up and I do the cutting. Thanks everybody. Those of you who've seen me here before know how much I really love and appreciate this organization, what Michael's done, and what so many of you have put into this. It's meant a lot to me over the years. I've been attending for well over, I'd say more than 15 years. I've occasionally stopped in the old days I stopped in a whole lot. And so everybody out there, you're a part of something special with this. I think it's a great resource and it really matters in Los Angeles. So I really want to see it thrive and grow and be all that it is. So yeah, I just got back from Park City, that strange little copper mining town way up yonder in Utah. It is my 13th Sundance, my 17th and 18th films there. I've gotten a little used to the place, so I'm going to give you a very, very quick tour of what a Sundance looks like. This I threw together within the hour on Keynote, which I never use, so the chances of this not working are medium, okay, not likely. So let's see what happens as I go through this. So anyway, this is my it said title, so I put title in there. This is Park City. This is what it looks like with an extreme fisheye lens. That's the Egyptian Theater, which is one of the first places you see when you walk up Main Street. It's this beautiful old classical kind of deco theater right in the center of Park City. It's where many, many great films have premiered. I've seen dozens of great premieres there, including Crumb. Anybody ever seen Crumb? I saw the very first showing of Crumb there. Yeah. Several amazing films that premiered there and all over Park City that I was lucky enough to see. I saw one of the first screenings of Little Miss Sunshine, sat in the very front row sitting on the floor because there was no more room yet left, and that's history there. But yeah, it's an incredible experience. When you first get there, it's disorienting. Most of the people driving around are from LA and they have no idea what to do on ice and snow, so the chances... a very good chance you're going to be plowed into on the sidewalk at some point. But it's just a wild fray. So the first thing you got to do is get from here to there. That's Burbank versus SLC. Slight change of environment. And then again, this Egyptian marquee is kind of the famous icon of Sundance. So this is what you see when you're walking up to your big premieres. You're hoping you'll start at the Egyptian, which is kind of making it at Sundance. I was very proud this year to take, at last, a jacket capable of handling the Sundance lifestyle. Most of the previous years, I used an ancient ski jacket that I was slowly getting holes in it. This year, on Amazon, I found for $70, I found a Caterpillar Work Super Insulated 12 pocket jacket right there. That's right. That right there has 12 deep and incredibly swag-worthy pockets, which served me so well. I was carrying around pounds of extra stuff just to survive Sundance, including a 7,000 milliamp iPhone recharging battery, 2 cables, multiple headphones, a couple of stolen Stella glasses that they gave us, a few things like that. So you really want to prepare at Sundance with a giant jacket capable of holding most of your existence, because you won't be going back to your room all day long. So snacks and everything are in there. This, again, Park City is gorgeous, beautiful, unbelievable. At sundown, the whole city lights up and begins to glow like this. It is a magical place. It really is. And it's also 7,000 feet up, so everybody's staggering around oxygen deprived. So these colors get real pretty after that first or second free Stella. It's one of those experiences where everybody has a warm glow and they're all about to pass out. So it's really conducive to fun conversations. Here's a night shot of what Park City looks like in the snow, looking up. I mean, it's surreal. It's like Disneyland for indie filmmakers. It's really an amazing place. Every one of these venues along the way, by the way, is another party that you can't get into. So you just have to learn how to work the line. You stand there and you look like you're supposed to be there. If you wait long enough, you'll get in. That's kind of the old adage. Nowadays, I actually know people. I can sometimes get into these things, but it's an amazing kind of go storefront to storefront. You meet filmmakers. The most important thing at Sundance is you meet filmmakers. You have conversations with filmmakers. I say, my philosophy of Sundance is seeing movies at Sundance is my lowest priority, because who wants to sit in the dark for 2 hours and not talk to anybody? The whole point of being at Sundance is you meet people, you talk to people, you go to events, you mingle. And to me, my rule is the good films, you'll see them again. The bad films, you're not going to be mad that you sat there for 2 hours and didn't mingle with people. So if I get a free ticket or I go to a midnight show or an 8:30 in the morning, those are great. Otherwise, the day is about mingling with filmmakers, talking ideas, maybe getting a new job, maybe hiring somebody. That's Sundance for me. That's what I use it for. It's a great thing. So it's very snowy. You got to be ready for that. That's right after a 5-inch snowstorm that hit us middle of the night. I went to a first night party where, strangely enough, our DJ was Elijah Wood. That's the smaller guy is Elijah Wood, spinning records all night long. That's a typical party. It is literally breathing room only. It's almost dangerous in there because it's so packed. And that's pretty typical. So you're going to be in these loud, sweaty environments. The key is to find a balcony somewhere where you can talk to people, because the loud music and everything, it's all great if you're into that, but it's really about talking to people. So I always seek the quiet at Sundance, even if it's at a party. I go somewhere where I can have conversations with people. That's one of the benefits right there. Stella Artois sponsors the entire festival, so it's kind of unavoidable. Finally, there are some craft beer sponsors, so we finally are having good beer up there. But Stella's just fine, too. And they do give free glasses away. Okay, getting on to why I went there. This is the first of the 2 films. This is an extraordinary film called Jim. It's about James Foley, who I think many of you know the name right off the bat. He is the first American journalist executed by ISIS. The problem with that story is that all we know is the end of his story, okay? You've all seen the CNN breaking news, orange jumpsuit, statement he was forced to read. The goal of the film was to tell the entire story before that, which is extraordinary and heroic and beautiful. My friend Brian Oakes, who's been doing graphics for years on films that I've worked on, this is his directorial debut. He went to kindergarten with James Foley. He knew the family all the way right up until we lost him. So Brian is the only person really on the planet who could have told this story in the way that he did. And it's just a magnificent film. What I'm going to show you, first of all, there's Brian. Brian and I, we go way back. We're basically brothers. We love each other a lot. I'm going to show you the actual trailer that HBO literally cut the second they returned it, because HBO bought the film the second they saw it. I'll show you the trailer that they cut for it.
I believe frontline journalism is important. Without these photos and videos and firsthand experience, we can't really tell the world how bad it might be.
It's the event with the second most recognition in recent American history after 9/11. Jim would have been horrified by that.
I think I was in denial about how dangerous this really was.
These 4 guys with guns, they stopped the taxi and they put Jim into the back of their van. I didn't know if I was gonna see him again.
We didn't know who was holding him. I was frantic.
ISIS was on nobody's radar.
They threatened to kill Jim.
I hadn't heard Jim's voice in 2 years. I never, ever imagined that it would end in that fashion.
We lost all hope in captivity, but James didn't. He saw the light instead of the dark.
There's physical courage, but that's nothing compared to moral courage. If I don't have that moral courage, we don't have journalism.
All right. So, as you saw on there, it's premiering February 6th on HBO. That's an incredibly fast turnaround. We literally finished coloring and mixing this within the last 2 weeks. So it was colored, mixed, Sundance. It is going to show starting Friday in Los Angeles and New York for 1 week. Why? Because we want to qualify it for the Oscars. You have to do that before you show it on the TV. So we're going to run it for a week in 2 theaters. One is the Claremont Lemley's Theater out in Claremont, California. If you are living anywhere near Claremont or you want to make the drive, if you really want to see this on a big screen, it's a powerful, profound movie, and it's a beautiful movie. So I would really, it would be great for us if you guys went and saw it in Claremont, because that changes, how much theatrical we might be able to get later. We'll probably show it again in theaters later on, but it will be showing there, and in New York City it'll be showing, I forget the cinema, but it's in Brooklyn. So we're going to show it, it's starting Friday. Lemley's Claremont. You can buy tickets now. It's actually, their tickets are available. And then it'll be on HBO, like I said, and HBO Go on February 6th. So everybody will be able to see it then. But it's a great big screen experience, and it is the best cry you'll have all year, I guarantee you. It's a very, very profound film. So this was the scene as we were premiering. We were beyond sold out. We had dozens of people standing outside begging for tickets, and we had a packed house, including in these rows you see right in front of you there. That's the family of James Foley. So we had the entire extended family. He comes from a big Irish family who all have roles in the film and different things that they have to say about Jim. There's nothing like watching a film about somebody who's not with us with the entire family surrounding you. It's probably the most emotional thing I've ever been through at Sundance, and I'm still not quite over it. So such an incredible, wonderful family. We actually stayed in a condo together. 20 of us jammed in this giant condo. So yeah, it went from getting to know each other to, by the end of the weekend, this is just part of the group here. James's dad, that's David Courier, the first guy, is the programmer at Sundance. Then James's dad and mom, 2 of the captives who stayed with Jim in captivity under ISIS control, who have incredible things to say about him. Then 2 journalists. The guy with the beard and the woman are 2 fellow journalists who were on the front lines in Syria and in Libya with him. And then finally Brian, who's our director right there. So that Q&A was probably one of the edgiest and most heartfelt that I've ever been at at Sundance. So we got very lucky. We had a composer named J. Ralph. Some of you guys may know the name. He's quite famous now in composing circles, and he happened to have a friend who thought maybe it'd be a good idea to loan him a song. So we got this guy. J. Ralph and Sting go way back. And apparently, I'll let him tell it, basically. This is actually several hours after our premiere, and a very intimate lunch where we all got to really know each other. I actually had a 15-minute conversation with Sting about crossword puzzles, which I'm still loving that we talked about that. But Sting graced us with a very special thing that I'm just going to let him tell the story. Warning, it is not necessarily totally safe for work. There is some language in this. Here you go. All right, so that's our end theme song from Jim. It's hard for me to even hear that without thinking about working on the film and getting to meet all these people and getting to know this guy who is, by the end of the film, you'll think is one of the greatest heroes that we have in this country. It's just amazing what this story is all about. So I really hope you guys all see the film. Again, it's on HBO and it will be in theaters briefly starting Friday here in LA and in New York. So like I said, the family, big Irish Catholic family, wonderful people. And by the second day we were there after the premiere, we were so close that we were all hanging out, having beers, and watching the Patriots game, which was probably this, one of the most profoundly sad things at Sundance for them. So, like I said, HBO bought us within seconds of seeing the film. One of the nice benefits is they throw an enormous party for all the HBO films, which normally we have to try to trick our way through the kitchen to get into. This time we walked in the front door proudly, and they even gave me, I don't know if I still have it. This is the official HBO documentary swag jacket that everybody gets for showing up. And it was very special because we feel like we're possibly could be the best film on their roster this year, and because they are so excited about the film, they are supporting us for an Oscar run and all this. So next year, hopefully, we'll be having this conversation at a different level. We'll see. And then real quickly, I did have another film. I don't have much time to talk about everything. I want to make sure that we have time for all the other agendas tonight. But a second film I had there called Holy Hell by a terrific first-time feature director named Will Allen. Will's backstory is astonishing. He was, right out of film school, he was sort of lost looking for something, and he joined a religious organization in Hollywood that gradually went from a peace and love group to a total cult. And for 25 years, he was the videographer for the cult. When he left in 2007, he stole the tapes. So this is Will and his sister, who were both in the cult together. Really wonderful people. And so if you can imagine, this film goes all the way from VHS to chip cameras. But it's all an amazing journey because it is the history of the spiral downward into an obsessive leadered cult where the leader is the black hole in the middle of a really beautiful group of people. So really recommend when this gets bought, and it will. I think it'll sell this week at Sundance. It'll be somewhere. Make sure you see this film. It's really remarkable, and you'll never see an inside view of something quite like this. So working on this was terrific. It was incredibly fun to advise on the story and work on the edit. I think you're gonna be hearing a lot about this film as time goes on. Real quickly, I will end it there with the slideshow, but I want to take any questions or quick back and forth. I guess as Michael's coming up, this is my friend Tracy Fullerton. If anybody's at USC, hey, all right, we got a Tracy fan. Tracy is in charge of VR and new media at USC. She's a chair of that at USC, and a good old friend of mine. We went to school together back in the day, and we're pointing at our films that we have on the USC board here.
Did you say VR?
VR and Oculus and all that stuff.
Where are you?
Yes.
Is she here?
No, I don't think Tracy's here tonight. But somebody who knows Tracy is
we
here.
need to talk.
At least a couple.
Yeah.
But we should bring Tracy in because she's incredible,
right.
and she is working on things that you can only imagine right now, which she showed at Sundance. Real quick, that's my friend Jill Soloway, who was up there having a fun time. we were standing in the cold, going, "What's the weirdest photo we could take with each other right now?" And I just really want to close this. If anybody knows this gang, this is the 10th anniversary of the premiere of Wordplay at Sundance exactly 10 years ago, and this is the crew that put it all together. So we were able to all meet up Monday night on my final night, and we had this great reunion that we are all reflecting on the fact that it's been 10 years since our big breakout documentary. So that's a footnote on Sundance and what it's like to go through a quick week there. And I'm happy to take any questions in the few minutes we have left here. Yeah, that's a great question. How do you guys have an hour or 2, 3, 4 hours for me to answer that? It's all about how do I figure out the story? How do I approach a story when somebody comes to me with a documentary? The answer to that is whatever the film demands. Every film is different. I've never had two docs that were exactly the same in both workflow and in story and in how you approach these stories. A lot of times I come into the docs later on. Sometimes I go from the very beginning. Every film needs something different, and every film I consider it a very fascinating puzzle. And the fun in documentary editing is solving the puzzle. And there are no right ways. There are only kind of wrong ways. And there are a few really great ways to do it. So hopefully, for the most part, we found at least passable ways to get these documentaries into great stories. And I don't think of them as documentaries. I think of them as true narratives, which I think is very valuable. It's a very important way to think about it, because we don't make movies that are, oh, that's good, that's a great documentary. I want to make a great movie. I want to make a movie that you go to just like Star Wars. I want it to be thrilling and funny and emotional, and I want you to care about the characters, and I want you to come out feeling better than when you went in, or worse about the world where you want to change something. That's the point of these films. So I don't think of it as medicine. I don't want to make medicine movies. I want to make great films that are totally exciting and interesting and wide open emotionally. So that's how I approach it. Yeah. That's another 10-hour answer I have for you. The simple answer to that, what platform do I use or prefer, and how do I organize? The truth is I've used every one of them in different capacities, in different ways. I am platform agnostic. You should be too. There is nothing that you can know that's bad for you. And I hate platform wars. Absolutely freaking hate it, because we waste so much time worrying about which button's prettier and which interface is darker and more glowy and which codec is superior. It's like, guys, we're making movies, okay? We're making stories. Get over the machine, learn it, and make it your palette, right? How much do you care about Da Vinci's palette? Right? How much do you care about the paint palette? Do you look at that, or do you look at the painting? That's my thing about machines. I like them all. I hate them all. They all have bugs and inexcusable flaws, and they're all wonderful, amazing pieces of technology. And I use them all. I keep as sharp as I can on everything. I also know After Effects. I know coloring a little bit. I'm very good in sound. I can shoot. I'm a passable director. I can make a decent, crab salad on set if I have to. This is all stuff you do because it's DIY filmmaking. You need to know these things as a doc filmmaker, and even as an indie narrative filmmaker. You got to be really flexible. You got to know everything.
Any other questions? Because I do want to. I don't know if you, because I didn't say this during the intro, but Doug has been involved in some of the finest documentaries in the last 10 years. A couple of years ago, 20 Feet from Stardom, which won the Oscar for Best Feature Documentary. Doug was part of that. He's an Ace Eddie Award winner. Invisible War, the sequel to Invisible War, and I can't remember the damn name.
The Hunting Ground, which is out now, and I very much
brilliant.
Very much recommend. If you guys want to see The Hunting Ground, next Tuesday at USC, the SCA theater there in the film school is showing The Hunting Ground. I will be there with a class that I'm teaching at USC to watch it for how we edited the film. So I believe there are still seats available. I don't know what the process is, but I think if you just go on the USC Film School website, look for SCA screening series, and you probably can attend that screening next Tuesday.
Didn't just today they came down with the Florida State?
Yes, yesterday, a major case in our film that we documented, which we got a lot of pushback on. A university in the Deep South finally acquiesced and rewarded the victim who had been railroaded for years almost $1 million. So that was we feel like we had a lot to do with keeping that case valid.
Yeah, you Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans ought to take a look at this.
Yeah, I think not naming names, but guess who? Yeah.
Yeah, guess who? Right.
So yeah, that's part of why I love this field, because we do make change. The Invisible War, our servicemen and women are protected by laws that did not exist a few years ago because the film spurred the Department of Defense to change the laws. So we feel really proud when we can make change like that. Yeah.
You often work on documentaries with a budget. And a lot of us
Imagine
don't
that.
work with documentaries
Right.
on a budget, but Doug does. How much easier, or does it make a difference?
It changes the problems you have. It's a different set of problems. You know how you say
you work on documentaries where you better have a bunch of lawyers, such as Invisible War.
There are costs we didn't have when I was making it with a handy camera and iPhone.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, you better run it through our legal team. It's like, okay, we'll do that. At every budget level, because I still work with first-time filmmakers. I work with very low-budget films when I'm inspired by the film. And every film can be great in its own parameters. It doesn't take $1 million to make a great documentary. It basically takes this and a great story. There's a great film, Tangerine, right? You guys know about Tangerine. Yeah. It's a narrative that's amazing and was I think it should be in the Oscar race, honestly. Shot on an iPhone 5S, okay? So the tools are what you make them, and the story is all that matters. That's what really matters, But yeah, I work at all levels of documentary, and I still will do Holy Hell for a long time had no funding at all. It was just Will and his footage and this incredible story, and gradually a team assembled around him that allowed him to get the funding to get the film done so he could eat and afford the Avid upgrades and everything, and he got the film done, and it premiered at Sundance 2 days ago. So there is a pathway. No matter what level you're working at, the film has to be excellent. That's the rule. It doesn't have to be rich. It has to be excellent. That's what you're going for.
We're going to have to wrap this up,
Yeah.
but I do want to emphasize that Doug's one of the few, not few people, a lot of people who is not only approachable, but really, really enjoys helping others. And I don't mean that in a kind of a schmaltzy way. He really, honestly loves helping others. So I know he's got to get going here, and he's probably working on 20 more documentaries. But get your face in front of this guy. Ask him questions. He is a wealth of knowledge. He has been in this trenches for a long, long time, and he's a guy who's figured out every single problem. So please thank Doug Blush.
Thanks, Michael.